Welcome everyone to the Reading Writing Corner. I'm your host, Leanne, and we are going to talk about, for this non-spoiler review part of the video, The Rise of Kyoshi by F.C. Yee. Now, if this is your first time here, pull up a seat, sit down, let us talk about this book, and if you've been here before, you know the drill by now. I'm a crazy mess, but we love it. This was written with the permission and read over of the Avatar co-creator Michael Dante DiMartino. So a person who's with the Avatar world, wrote the Avatar world, approved of this book. So you know it's gonna be good. Just to give you a sneak peek of what everything looks like on the cover. This is actually a hardcover book, but this is what you see here for the cover of this. I've got my paperback cover because, you know, I don't want to ruin that part of the book at all. This is part of a series called The Chronicles of the Avatar, and also the duology for Kyoshi. So it's technically a two-part. So about the series. The cycle of avatars has been going on for centuries, but have you ever wondered what their lives were like before and after they became the Avatar? I made that up only because there is nothing there for it. And as you know, I like to talk a little bit about what the series is before we actually dive into it, if it's a series or about the book, as we dive into more in depth about it. And I don't want to give away spoilers, so that's what I do. A little blurb thing in the beginning about the series or about the book. And sometimes, 99.9% of the time, I have to write it out because there is nothing describing anything about it. Because it's just the way it is, I guess. What made me read this book? It's a book about Kyoshi from Avatar: The Last Airbender. I love the show, and of course I'm going to read a book based off a character from the show. Like I have read some of the comic books that are out there and everything about the lives after Avatar: The Last Airbender ended. And I did watch Avatar: The Legend of Korra. So, I love me some Avatar, okay? The Last Airbender stuff, not Avatar by the other dude. So, here we go. Justice begins with one woman. After 9 years of desperate searching for the next Avatar, the discovery of young, charming Avatar Yoon has brought stability to the foreign nation, that is, until the Earth Kingdom-born Kyoshi, Yoon's unassuming friend and servant, demonstrates remarkable bending during a mission to the South Pole, with the identity of the true Avatar at stake and the growing unrest among her allies turning violence. Kyoshi is forced to flee the Avatar mansion with her fiery friend Rangi, taking little more than the metal war fans and headdress her parents left behind. It isn't easy finding Avatar training on the run, but Kyoshi and Rangi find unlikely supporters in the Dial Fae, ragtag criminals and outlaws living in the shadows of the Earth Kingdom, torn between following the traditional path of an Avatar and seeking vengeance for those who she has lost. Kyoshi struggles to accept her newfound power as she trains in secret. But while Kyoshi, Rangi, and her Dial Fae friends face off against brutal underworld rivals, those who seek to control the Avatar draw ever closer to her, leaving trails of the dead in their wake. So she was abandoned by her parents, and no one wanted to take her in the village, so she didn't think she was very much at all. It turns out that Kyoshi is far more important than even she knew. That's my non-spoiler review thing. There's more on the back, but that's just, I don't know, what happens in the book. And I don't really want to spoil that for you. And this non-spoiler part of the book. Even though it spoils it for you if you buy the book. I mean, you want to pause it and go ahead and read it yourself. Go ahead. I'll wait. Okay. I hope you paused it and read it if that's what you really want to do. I hope the camera focused on it. I have no clue if it did or not. Because I didn't look. And I didn't check. And I'm not going to. So, the setup of the characters were smooth and laid out well. The motives of the Avatar teachers, Avatar Yoon, Kyoshi, and Rangi, are clear to see. And I spelled that name wrong in this part. The characters react to the situation how I imagine them to do so: panic, crying, misunderstanding, desperation, and the will to survive. Poor Yoon. Poor Yoon. The genre is considered to be young adult and fantasy. Well, teen young adult and fantasy, but really young adult is teens. Because they're young. They're almost adults, but they're not. You know? Did this live up to my expectations? Yes, yes, and yes! It was thrilling to read. I love being able to see what made Kyoshi, Avatar Kyoshi. Because what happens in this book sets her up for the type of avatar she becomes. Now, I can't wait to read the rest of Kyoshi and the Yangchen and, of course, the Roku that is out. At the time of me recording this, there is actually a 6th book coming out for Roku, because there's duologies for all of them, and I'm hoping they come out with Kurok, as well as the very first Avatar, and how that happened, because what you get in Korra, I want to read that in a book. I want to read more in depth about that in a book. It would be interesting. Very interesting. Which character do I relate to the most? Avatar Yoon. Careful. Carefree. Not careful. Carefree, not wanting to be responsible, but having to do it anyways. Being a responsible adult is hard. Adulting is hard. Why did we want to become adults? Adults? Teenagers, children, under the age of whatever. Do not rush to become adults. It's not all it's cracked up to be. At all. I wish I could go back to being a teenager in high school or even elementary. Please. Let me go back to when I was 10. Life was simple then. Very simple. What secondary character stood out the most? Rangi, for she believed in the Avatar with all her heart, and the justice and the peace that the Avatar would bring to the world. She believed in it wholeheartedly, and it tore her apart when Kyoshi had to do what she had to do to take control of her life. What was more important, the characters or the plot? The characters, Kyoshi in particular. It is, after all, about her rising to her true position in life. And that's mainly the plot. Okay. That's mainly what it is. There are multiple voices in this story, and it does not affect my reading. Should you go and read this story/series? Yes. If you loved Avatar: The Last Airbender, if you loved Avatar: The Legend of Korra, the many comics that have come out since then, read this book. It will not disappoint you. No, no. So if you think I deserve a like, comment, or even your lovely subscription, drop it down below as you the moose out of here if you do not want to be here for the spoiler part of the review. Welcome to the spoiler part of the review. There are some lingo that you really need to know if you've never been in the Avatar world, never seen any of the Avatar stuff, and never read this book. And you just wanted to be here to be spoiled. The first one is Avatar. It is someone born with the ability to control all 4 elements: earth, fire, air, and water. Avatar state. It is the state in which an avatar can enter into in order to channel the experience and knowledge of all the avatars before them. It also allows for greater access to their powers so they can do more and be more. The Avatar cycle. So the cycle it is the cycle of the Avatar being born in each nation after the last Avatar died, such as Yangchen of air, then it went to Kurok of water, and then Kyoshi of earth, and of course, if you've seen Avatar, it would be Roku of fire next, after Kyoshi dies. And it's always after they die. And if they want to, they can actually call upon, because of the cycle that they have, they can call upon the previous Avatar for advice, or even go further back. They don't have to sit there and just call upon the one before them. They could call upon Yangchen, like Kyoshi could call upon Yangchen, or she could call upon Kurok. And when Roku becomes one, he can call upon the last 3 of them. So it's a cycle. And they could actually, if they knew the name of the very first Avatar, they could actually go all the way back to the very first Avatar and call upon him for his advice on how to deal with current situations and the like. Because they're all there. Their spirits are still there. The Dao Fei is a criminal group that commits evil deeds in order to live because the world fed them. You know, like stealing and killing people when they need to, that sort of thing. The Flying Opera Company is a group of Dao Fei that Kyoshi's parents actually funded, which is really weird. They're part of it. The Yellow Necks is a group of Dao Fei that were killing men, women, and children in order to incite terror into the Earth Kingdom. They were actually put to stop a while ago, but some stuff happens in this book that brings them back. Sifu means a teacher. You're a teacher, a master. You teach somebody something. There's a lot of Sifus in this, let me tell you. A lot of Sifus. So the Fifth Nation Fleet, because back when Yang Chen, Kuruk, and Kyoshi were alive, there was another nation. They were one that didn't belong to any one nation because they were a fleet nation. They lived on ships. And they were controlled by a southern waterbender. And they just went around pillaging like pirates, because that's what they were, to gather their supplies and stuff. And that they just wanted to live without the rule of the rest of the world, basically. Basically, that was it. They just wanted to rule without the rest of the world getting in the way of them and telling them what to do, which I guess is normal in a way, for a lot of people not wanting to be ruled over. Air nomads and their temples, because you have a south, east, west, and north temple, are nomads that do not stay in one place for long and can control air. So they would go, some of them would live forever in the temples, but sometimes they would just go wherever the wind took them. Because they did not believe in worldly possessions. They did not believe in just living in one place forever. And they're monks, and they also didn't believe in killing. The Fire Nation were people who can control fire. They live on an island with an active volcano. And they believe in strict, rigid rules and control, because fire is a very dangerous element that you need to learn how to control early on, or else you could get yourself burnt by your own element. The Earth Kingdom is the largest continent with the most people, and they can bend earth, of course. Then you have the Northern Water Tribe. These people live at the North Pole and can bend water. Then you have the Southern Water Tribe. They're actually from the Northern Water Tribe, but they broke off because they did not like how women weren't allowed to fight with water, and they were only allowed to learn how to heal with water. And they went to the South Pole. In this book, they'd already been split off, so I'm wondering when they split off. Was it during Yang Qing's time? Was it during Kuruk's time? Was Kuruk part of the North or the South? It's so interesting to question these things. Then you have sky bison. These are creatures that can fly and hold several people on their backs. They are mainly companions of air nomads. Then you have the sheer shoes. These are creatures that can dig through the dirt, and once they have a scent, they travel the world until they find it, never stopping. So in this book, you meet the main characters, side characters, and important main characters, and probably characters that will move on to The Shadow of Kyoshi, which is the sequel to this one. The characters are Kuruk. I don't know. The Avatar before Kyoshi. He died young because he spent the majority of his time after becoming the Avatar trying to bring the love of his life's face back because No Face stole it. And he was actually trying to deal with the spirits that were left in chaos thanks to Yang Chen. He was born a waterbender. Yang Chen, the Avatar before Kuruk, she was an air nomad that could bend air. She had brokered a peace treaty with the Fifth Nation long ago. She, of course, could bend air, but she also she struggled, I read some filters, she struggled with spirits and trying to keep people together, and that's why Kuruk had to concentrate on the spirits because they were resentful. Tagaka, which is some of the stuff on the back, is a waterbender and leader of the Fifth Nation, just like her parents and grandparents before her. She was trying to kidnap Avatar Yoon, but failed thanks to Kyoshi actually dredging up a lot of earth from the very bottom of the ocean, because they were over the ocean during this whole broker moment. Sifu Amak, or Master Amak, he was a water teacher for Yoon and had been friends to Kuruk as a companion who helped teach him, water. Sifu Hiran was a fire teacher for Yoon Master and had been friends to Kuruk. She learned that Kyoshi was the Avatar but did not approve of the way Jizan was handling the situation. She was actually poisoned by him and lived. And she also taught Kuruk firebending. Sifu Jian Zhu, he was the earth teacher / master for Yoon and had been friends to Kuruk. He taught Kuruk how to do earthbending. He sacrificed Yoon to a spirit after the spirit tested both with their blood to see who the Avatar was, and when he found out it was Kyoshi, he was the only person he rescued. He allowed Yoon to be taken away and killed, regardless of the fact that he had been training Yoon for several years now to be the Avatar. He killed Sifu Kal Singh because he believed only himself could teach the Avatar the correct path, and he didn't want anyone to take the Avatar from him or his ability to teach the person, the Avatar. He killed several Earth Nation governors, threatened to kill Rongi, killed Lek, who we'll get to in a moment, in his bid to control Kyoshi. Yoon, who he sacrificed, came back as a spirit. Maybe, we're not sure. We won't know, maybe not until the shadow of Kyoshi. Came back and killed him while he was locked in a bending battle of wills with Kyoshi. Now, the lock was that he was trying to destroy a building that there were people inside of. Well, they were inside of too. And Kyoshi was trying to prevent that from happening. But she, who was poisoned, didn't have full control over her earthbending and had struggled. So it was a very locked battle, and Yoon came in and just poof, killed him. And then walked out. And everything crumbled. But all the people got out safely. Sifu Kelsing, he actually raised Kyoshi as if she was his own daughter and saw her recite a poem that only Kuruk and Kelsing knew and believed she could be the Avatar, but was not convinced until Kyoshi raised a huge slab of earth to defeat Tagaka in a fight over the ocean. He was killed by Jiansu for trying to protect Kyoshi from Jiansu because he thought Jiansu went crazy. I mean, like, obviously he did. He sacrificed Yoon. He killed off a lot of people. He poisons Hiran, kidnaps Rangi and injures her, and kills an innocent person, and he's cuckoo. He's crazy, okay? You have Yoon. He was thought to be the Avatar only because he played Pai Sho the same way the Avatar Kuruk did, and that's why they thought he was the Avatar. It was because he seemed like he was channeling all the moves that Avatar Kuruk used, which turns out to be no, he was just that good at Pai Sho. Kyoshi, she was born to Jessa and Hark of the Dalfei, abandoned by them, raised by monk Kelsing, who is of course the Sifu Kelsing and is an air nomad. Learned she was the Avatar, ran away to learn how to bend the other elements in order to kill Jiansu in revenge for Kelsing being killed, for Lek being killed, for Yoon, who she actually was in love with, being killed. In the end, she does embrace her role as the Avatar. She loved Yoon, and then she's in love with Rongi. So, there's that. Not sure how that's going to play out at all. I honestly don't think none of the Avatars actually have any children besides Avatar Aang, as far as I can tell. Professor Shaw is seen briefly. He's a professor raising the sheer shoes. He brought them to Johnson, not knowing what they would be used for or why he wanted them. Lao Gi, who was written in Kyoshi's mother's journal as Tai Guai the Immortal, someone that has lived for hundreds of years, part of the Dalfei, taught Kyoshi how to use her fan and bend small pieces of earth with precision, and having a fan actually helped her direct water for the first time. Of course, when Yoon died, she breathed fire for the first time out of her mouth. That was interesting. Jessa, Kyoshi's mother, and an air bender from the air nomads, she had a sky bison. she fell in love with Hark, who was Kyoshi's father and an earthbender from the Earth Nation. They ran away together, started a gang called the Flying Opera Company as Dalfei, and then kept her around for a while, abandoned her, and continued what they were doing. Maybe they abandoned her to keep her alive and safe? Not really sure. Probably never will be. Then you have people from the Dalfei. The fleeting Sparrow Keek Woon. He was part of the Flying Opera Company, became a companion to the Avatar. Then you have Kirima. She was part of the Flying Opera Company, companion to the Avatar, and she was the waterbending Sifu for Kyoshi. Then you have Bullet Lek, the young boy Kyoshi's parents picked up because he was useful to them. He became part of the Flying Opera Company and then a companion to the Avatar. He was killed by Jianzhu, and he actually did not like Kyoshi because Kyoshi was like, my parents abandoned me, they didn't love me, but they loved you, and I don't understand that. And he's like, look, they just picked me up because I was useful at pickpocketing. Literally, that's why they took me in. But they were great. They treated me like one of the family. And she's like, well, lucky for you. They ditched me. And I'm like, no, that can't be. They couldn't have ditched you for any reason. Well, obviously they did, because obviously that's what happened. Long Yan, which is Jessa's Sky Bison. They never really say what happened to the Sky Bison or to Jessa and Hart, besides the fact that they're dead. So the Sky Bison, I would assume Long Yan is dead as well. Peng Peng was Kelsing's Sky Bison that became Kyoshi. She technically inherited it. Though, whatever happens to it, we don't know. Because at the very end, you don't see the Sky Bison. So, we don't know what happened to him. We're almost done with the characters, I promise. You have Hui. Rival to Johnson, he knew everything about everything and could convince people of anything with his words alone. He helped conceal the fact that Jianzhu lost the Avatar for a while. He's also the one that sent a bunch of governors to Jianzhu because he knew something was up and that Jianzhu was hiding something. And that's why Jianzhu killed all of them. Liu Beifeng, the ancestor to Toph Beifeng. He was one of the governors that wanted to show off the Avatar with a splendid party. He was not sent and died, and Hui was actually the butler or companion or whatever to Liu Beifeng. Then you have Zhu Ping'an, leader of the Yellownecks. He is challenged by Kyoshi if they rescue him from prison. They didn't know he was at first, and when they found out, they're like, oh crap, we can't let him go away. So Kyoshi challenges him and murks him because he was going to kill people. And she's like, no, you're not going to kill innocent people. No, not happening. Then you have Monk Jinpa, the monk of the Southern Air Temple, who is helping Kyoshi at the end of the book while she waits to see what the world will do with the news of Jianzhu's death and her ascent to being the Avatar. That's literally what that is. Okay, so there are several POVs within this story. There's Kyoshi, Kelsling, and I spelled his name wrong, folks. Why am I so bad at typing? Jianzhu and Yun. Hold that thought. Almost out of time. Okay, my favorite character was Kyoshi because she thought she was nothing but turned out to be something, and she did what she had to do in order to avenge those she loved and to take her role as Avatar. My most disliked character was Jianzhu. He did not care who he killed or hurt to get his way, including his old friends and innocent people. It's terrible. It was told in chronological order with appropriate language for its genre. The foreshadowing of things to come is done well. The way Jianzhu is so hard on Yun and dismisses everyone around him as useless was good to show that Jianzhu was not all that sane to begin with. Then you find out that he was actually a Dalfei that turned his life around, or sorta. He still killed people, so I guess he was still Dalfei in my opinion. He was still Dalfei. The suspense of whether Kyoshi will embrace her duties as the Avatar will live when she challenges Zhu Ping'an, who's more experienced. And the last part, the struggle of keeping a building from collapsing because of Jianzhu, to save the people inside of it from death. The background was explained enough for the reader to understand Kyoshi's life before she worked in the Avatar Mansion, how she felt about her parents, Yoon's life before being claimed as the Avatar, then his life as the Avatar. It was done well. We even learned that because Monk Kelsing had killed people, he was exiled from the Air Nomads because they were not about killing. The title of the book meant that Kyoshi would rise to the challenge of being the Avatar after going through a difficult period of time. The cover of the book is Kyoshi in her robes wearing her headband. Her parents left her white and red makeup, which her parents left her, in a metal fan, which her parents left her too, with a grim look on her face. What stood out as memorable was how desperate Jiangsu was in finding and teaching the Avatar in order to stay in the good standing with all of his contracts around the world. He was so desperate that he killed people for it. He thought he was the only good person in a corrupt world that could teach the Avatar correctly, when he's the corrupt one. My favorite passage from the story is, it was said that each Avatar was born in fitting times to an era that needed them. My favorite quote, wisdom can be gleaned from every nation, she said, using a quote of Kelsing's, if learning about the other elements can make me stronger, then I'll do it. So both of them fit in with the Avatar Kyoshi. She was born in an era that needed her to be hard and to do things a certain way. She couldn't just be soft and let him do whatever. She had to be hard, and she had to be stern, and she had to be powerful. And before she wanted to admit that she was the Avatar, because she didn't really want to admit to it, she was like, wisdom can be gleaned from all nations, so I can learn something from every single nation. And if learning about the other elements, I could become stronger in that way. Alright, so there's that. What I thought about the ending of the book. I still got some time. I was glad that Kyoshi accepted her role in the world, but the cost was great. She lost a lot of people. Even though she did gain a lot from it, she also lost a lot of people. The surprising twist at the end makes me want to read the next book in the series so badly. The last page, the last couple of sentences of the book. Ooh, that was a cliffhanger, and it was done very well. What book did it remind me of? Nothing, because I've not read something like this before. But it does remind me of Avatar: The Last Airbender, the TV series. This book, as you know, is part of a series. It is actually part of two series. The duology for Avatar Kyoshi and the Chronicles of the Avatar. I rate this a 5 because it was golden and it kept me hooked every turn of the page. So, if you made it this far into the video, I'd appreciate it if you dropped a like, comment, or even a lovely subscription down below. And we'll see you next illusion.